What up? What up? It's Garage Gym Homie. Today, I'm talking to you about my experience about therapeutic lockdown boarding school. Is it worth it? Before I get into this here, please click the subscribe button. I got content coming out every day for you now. So click subscribe and let's get into this. So, I wanted to share more parts of my life. It's been a while since I made a video about my past and some stuff I've gone through, just to share it with you, man. Some of you might be able to relate. Some of you might be able to say, dang. So anyway, man, when I was 15 years old, I was out of control, man. Smoking weed in school, skipping school, hanging out with people, starting to sell dope. Out of my mind, man. Just not taking school seriously, not caring, and I was a defiant little kid, So my parents, I came home one day and they said, we're sending you to boarding school. So they shipped me off to Arizona, man, and that was my second half of 10th grade, first half of 11th grade. And I was there for a year at boarding school, and this place was like a big party, man. I mean, they had a skate park for me, a no homework policy. Everyone was hooking up. Everyone was getting high, popping pills, smoking cigarettes. It was out of control, man, in a place called Oak Creek Ranch School in Sedona, Arizona, right outside Sedona, Arizona. Beautiful place. And I had a great time there. Got through some classes, went to boarding school, and I ended up getting expelled. I got caught hooking up with girls there. That was strike one. It was a bad ordeal. And strike two was I got caught smoking weed in my dorm room. So they had enough of me, man. I was monkeying around, and they called my dad and said it's time to take Ari home. So I had wasted a lot of money there. And went home and continued to sell dope, get high, scam, and just, be a troublemaker, man. I was had the disease of alcoholism and addiction, had the grips on me, and I was heading into full force, man. So I was hanging out with my buddy one night, and he was like, man, I went to the Kiss and Aerosmith concert, and and I lied to my dad about who I was going with. It was at Comerica Park in Detroit. Awesome concert. I'm not a big concert guy, but that was one of a couple concerts I've been to in my life. I got so drunk that night, I forgot where the car was parked. So it was like 4 a.m. and I still hadn't come home yet. My dad drove downtown Detroit, found me on a street corner there, drunk as heck, and followed me home. Well, I lost the car. I was so drunk I lost where I parked my car. Anyway, so a day after that, I was chilling with my buddy, and he was like, I told him what happened. He's like, man, you better run away or something before your dad sends you away. And I was like, my dad's not going to send me away. He won't send me anywhere. I was thinking, maybe I should run away, man. Maybe he will send me somewhere. I didn't listen to my gut feeling, man. This was crazy. That next morning at 4:30 a.m., I woke up with two ex-cops, two escorts. Not the good kind of escorts, man. The kind that are big men. And they said, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. And my dad hired these guys to yank me out of bed at 4:30 in the morning and send me to a real, not a party boarding school this time, to a real boarding school. I said to the guys, how long is this program? They said, we're going to a program in Texas. I said, how long is the program? They said 30 days. So I'm 17 years old now. I said, oh, it's 30 days, let's go. So I hopped on the airplane with them. I'm thinking, like, I could try and run. They told me they had shackles in the car or whatever. I didn't think that I was going to probably make it. There were two of them, And they seemed like they knew what they were doing with dragging people to these programs, these boarding schools. But it was only 30 days, so that's a piece of cake. You know, I thought it was going to be one of those wilderness programs or whatever. So I get to the school way out there in freaking Conroe, Texas. And I walk in the office and they throw a jumpsuit at me that says run away, call 911, and says put this on. So I put it on. I said, how long is this program? They said this is an 18 to 24 month program. I'm like, what the heck? So the guy, they tricked me into telling me it was 30 days so I wouldn't give them no trouble. They got me there, threw me in a jumpsuit, and told me it was an 18 to 24 month program, man. So I'm thinking to myself, well, dang, man, I'm 17 in 3 months. I got 9 months till I turn 18. I'm going to be an adult. I could just walk out of here. So I said to them, what happens when I'm 18 and I just want to leave? I'm an adult. They said, well, the truth is we could get custody over you through the court, so you can't do that. So I was freaked out, man. I'm in my head. So really the biggest problem that I see at this point in my life, number one, I left my whole life and all that. Number two, I had dated a girl for 2 years named Kelsey, who I was madly, my first love, man. From age 16, I dated her up till all through that first boarding school. It was a 2-year relationship. It was my first love, man. Head over heels, as in love as a young pup can be, man. And that was the biggest probably thing going through my head, was I never got to say goodbye to my girlfriend. I'm going to this school where you can't use the phones, nothing like that, no communication to the outside world. And I was devastated, man. I was deep. As an alcoholic, everything's like times 10 in here. So if a normal person's in fear, an alcoholic's in fear like 10 times, man. If a normal person's angry, an alcoholic's angry like 10 times more. It's all I was thinking about, man. It was horrible. She ended up dying later on of a heroin overdose. My first love died of a heroin overdose in Detroit in some guy's van, cracking heroin, I believe. And she was a mess, man. After I went to that school, she turned into a whole different person, man, than that girl that I knew. But anyway, man, so back to the boarding school. This place, let me tell you about this place. This place was like a weird alternate reality. There was no place like it. Anything that I'm going to say in this video, I really can't exaggerate enough to paint the picture. It was driven by fear, scare tactics, insanity. First of all, you couldn't talk to anybody unless you were in a group of 3 people, because then they could say that you were basically conspiring. There were things you couldn't talk about and things you could talk about. You couldn't talk about old music. You couldn't listen to music. They only allowed certain music. The Beatles, like, they allowed a little this and that in their country music. They didn't allow you to even talk about anything from the past, or else you're being negative. So what happens is, you're not allowed to also talk to anyone who's been there for less than 6 months. I can't even say, hey, how's it going? If I've been there less than 6 months, you've been there less than 6 months. But that's not where the crazy part is, man. They used to come in the lunchroom. There was this woman who ran the place named JJ. And this woman was scary, man. This was a scary, scary, scary woman. And she used to come in the lunchroom, man, when we're just eating. We're already in fear just living there. Everybody shut up, blackout. Everybody's silent, man. There's about 120 kids in the school at that time. Everybody's silent. You could hear a pin drop, man. Ari, stand up. I'd stand up. Do we got behavior on Ari? I'd stand up in front of the school, and people would raise their hand, and they'd have to say all the bad things that I did. I saw Ari looking at the girls. Can't talk to the girls. Can't even look at the girls. Ari didn't do his homework in that class. Ari was talking about rap music earlier. Because if they didn't tell on me, and somebody knew that they knew, and they didn't tell on me, they get in as much trouble as me. So what you do is you earn things like visits from your family. After like 9 months, your family can come on the campus and visit you. And they have to sit there with what's called a shadow, somebody else to monitor the visit, so you can't manipulate. They said it's manipulating your family. If you say anything bad about the school, let's say my parents came from Detroit to Texas to visit me, and I'm sitting there and I'm saying something bad about the school, the person who's shadowing the visit, which is another student, will say, visit's over. Your parents got to fly back to Detroit. Sorry, we're ending this visit. They flew all the way out to Texas. You manipulated them, tried to say something bad about the school. Visit's over. So anyway, so they'd lose privileges if they didn't tell on me. So so they'd berate you. They'd freaking torment you. They would belittle you. Just freaking all fear-based. Make you feel like it was the most traumatic. In a lot of ways, that boarding school is a lot more traumatic than state prison. And I was in state prison in California, which has some of the hardest prisons in the country. That was fear-based too, and I'm going to talk about that in other videos. But mentally, as a kid, this place was traumatic, man. And they would just completely stand you up there, man, and degrade you in front of 120 kids and tell you just how worthless you were, pretty much. And then they'd say, Ari's in learning experience. That's what they call punishment. And they'd have kids face the corner for like 3 weeks and eat nothing but plain tuna fish and copy the big book of AA word for word, or write what they call God prayers. If I did something wrong to someone, I got to write 1,000 God prayers. God bless Dave. 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 1,000 times. You owe 1,000 God prayers. It was crazy, man. It was crazy. So kids were there, and they said everyone's an addict. It was a alcohol, drug kind of addiction, they called it, program. And they would give you this weird, distorted view of Alcoholics Anonymous they would teach us, but it was not the real alcohol. It was their version of Alcoholics Anonymous. It wasn't all about following God and following your heart. It was just about their way of controlling you, man. And that place did some things for me that I'm going to tell you about, but it was extremely traumatic, man. Extremely traumatic. And I just want you to know that school is shut down now for abusing kids. You could look it up, man. Look up Excel Academy, Texas. Look up the articles, man, on Google. EXCEL Academy in Conroe, Texas. Look it up, man. Sheriff Monty Morass, who ended up going to prison. Kids would go, and if kids were bad, they would call the local sheriff, and he would come to the school. And everything was behind closed doors, so no one knew. And he'd abuse the kids, slap them around, push them around, hog tie them, do all these maneuvers to these kids, these underage kids, in front of the whole school if they wouldn't behave. You couldn't get kicked out of there. No matter what you did, you could not get kicked out of that school, man. And it was virtually impossible to run away. So the sheriff would come and he'd take the kids to what he called a jail tour. He'd take them to the local county jail, a big boy jail. He threw one kid, ended up, after I left there, threw him in a jail cell to scare him, young kid. The kid ended up getting sexually assaulted in that jail cell while he was on the school's watch. And the sheriff took him to do that jail tour. And that's what shut the school down, man. 2 weeks later, he came back to that school. He came back to the school that day, but 2 weeks later, it took for him to say anything. Some kids made him rub, some inmates made this little kid, I don't know, something about putting Vaseline on him and some kind of nasty sexual assault that went down there. And it got out. The sheriff ended up going to jail or prison, and the school ended up getting shut down for abusing kids, man. It was all over the news. That's where I was, man. They used to do what was called negative contracts. They would come in the lunchroom or come in wherever, whole school, blackout, shut up! Take out a piece of paper, we're doing negative contracts. You have to write down every single thing you know that somebody else did negative. Somebody else snuck in, couldn't sneak in much. I mean, it's not like people were getting high left and right there. They figure out a way to get high on nutmeg. I remember that, which was a real thing, and they ended up, tripping out. And, they got caught up on that. That was a whole scam. That was like the big deal of the school, getting high on nutmeg. Not that I did it, but others did. But all the negative kind, they snuck this, or they did that, or they, you couldn't make phone calls. He called this person and pretended it was his family, or something like. You get 1 10-minute phone call a week to your family while someone's listening in. So anyway, negative contracts, you got to write everything you know about everybody that they did wrong. And if somebody wrote something about you that you didn't write about yourself, oh, you're freaking screwed, man. So you're just guessing what everyone because they don't give you time to get your story straight. You're just guessing what everybody's writing about you. So you might as well tell on yourself as much as you can for all the little stuff, because you hope the big stuff doesn't get put on paper, man. You just be hoping. So that place was crazy, man. This guy came in, man, and he ended up slitting his wrists the day he came in, the day after. He was very depressed. I was the one who held his wrist for him, man. I found him and he was bleeding. I'm the one who held his wrist while he was bleeding, man. And guess what, man? That guy is now my best friend today. My best friend, man. So God works in crazy ways, man. God does work in crazy ways. I can't say that school is all bad. I look for the blessings in everything, man. I look for the gold in everything. And what that means is that school did a few things for me, man. Number one, it taught me something. It taught me that we always have a part in everything. Everything. Anytime we're angry at someone, anytime we're having negative emotion, every time we're blaming somebody for something, we have to look at our part in things. That school did teach me that, because they insisted that when you got in trouble for something, you try to blame someone, they always had you say what your part was. So that was a life lesson for me, to look within myself, that we always have a part in any situation. Even if you don't think you do, you're not seeing it yet, man. You're not seeing it yet. And I'm going to tell you in the future, man, how I had a part in some things I can never see. The other thing is, it got me to learn how much I loved lifting weights and working out. And I didn't start lifting weights seriously till 7 years ago. But we were hitting the weights then, man. We had a bench press they let us have. We were hitting the weights every dang day. I was benching every day. I didn't know about rest and recovery, or only doing it a couple days a week. We were hitting the weights. I had a six-pack there. I was running the track. I was doing burpees, crunches, push-ups, curls. We didn't have much, but that was like our getaway time, man. And I learned how much I loved working out, man. How much it got me high. Same with freestyle rapping, man. I learned that we couldn't listen to music there, so I really sharpened up on. I was freestyle rapping all the time, and I'll rap for you guys sometime, man. I have fun with that. I don't take myself seriously, but I have a good time, man. And lastly, I learned that I was capable of school. I never thought I was always terrified as an alcoholic addict, and school's something that I never really gave myself credit like that I was capable of. Never thought I was capable of it. And that school, for me, challenged me. And I took pride in my work there. And I wouldn't have graduated high school if it weren't for that place, man. I got in a lot of trouble there. I've had a lot of negative emotion. I probably contributed to a good part of me losing my dang hair. I mean, that school, I can't really say enough. There was too much that happened there for me to just tell you how traumatic that place was. Living in constant fear for 16 months I was there, man. So I could have left when I was 18, but by the time I turned 18, I was already there 9 months. I said, shoot, man, I got 6 more months here. I'm not going to walk off, you know. I might as well finish it out, man. I'm so close to graduating high school. And, you know, at that point, I had to pretend that I was one of the upper guys who was monitoring things and making sure that kids weren't talking negative and the new people weren't conspiring. You have to play the game there. And it was bad, man, having all those kids tell on each other and hold each other accountable. You know, I'm a grown man, so I'm not like one of these guys that, you better not snitch. Da, da, da. I'm over that prison mentality, man. But it wasn't right how they did to us as kids there, man. I'm not saying I'm a victim, man. My problems are of my own making. It's my fault that my family sent me there. That's my fault, man, because I was out of control. And they didn't know what to do with me, man. That was the best they knew what to do with me. But I think if my family knew what went on at that school, if they knew how traumatic it was and how serious it was with the mental abuse, physical abuse, the constant degradation, just the negative part, I think they would have reconsidered sending me there, man. I don't think they would have sent me there. But anyway, man, I just wanted to share my experience. So there were some hidden gems in there, man. I learned how capable I was of doing schoolwork, even though I'm still terrified of it. Still terrified of, you know, like I want to start coaching people, man. I want to get like a certification for coaching. For personal training, so I can coach people online, help them with, you know, I can coach now because of what I know pretty much, but I don't know everything, man. I don't know close to everything, man. I can learn a lot more, and I think it helps a lot to have a certification, and I'm terrified to study to take a test, man. I'm still terrified of it, man. It's still scary to me, and there's that part of me that thinks, man, you're not capable of studying, man. You're not capable. But I am capable, man. And that school showed me that. And I just never really applied myself to school before that. Or after that, really, man. Because my drug addiction took off after I left that school when my mom got brain cancer. And not that that was her fault. It just happened at that same time. And I don't know, man, and it taught me about working. So there was definitely some gold in that experience, man. Definitely some gold in that experience. And met a lifelong best friend and a few other people I keep in touch with from there, man. So that's my experience, man. I went to a crazy, hardcore, redneck, neck of the wood, Texas boarding school. That was freaking... I didn't do halfway near a good a job in this video explaining just how crazy it was as I could have. I mean, there's just too much to explain, but you kind of get the gist, man. So anyway, that's what I got for you, man. Just here to share some life with you, man. God bless all of you. Together, let's get this dang muscle, man. I'm out. Let me know what you think of the video.